Anxiety doesn't actually start where you think it does. It doesn't start at 2 in the night when you're laying in your bed and you're about to go to sleep and you have racing thoughts. It doesn't usually start when you hear your heartbeat in your ears. It actually starts with something called as a trigger, and it goes through a predictable chain. So there's a predictable chain that occurs every single time you start worrying or you have anxiety. And because this chain is so predictable, it is also breakable. In this video, we'll learn how to stop worrying. So we will explore how anxiety really works, what happens in your brain, what happens in your body, and how you can break those links to stop worrying and stop feeling anxious. My name is Fahad. I'm a specialty doctor working in the NHS. I work in psychiatry. These are some of the things that I use with my own patients when we do CBT, when they come to me with anxiety, and they have found it helpful, and I hope you do too. To learn how to break the chain, it is very important to first understand it. So let's go stepwise on what actually happens in your brain when you start worrying, when you start getting anxious. And at each step, we will learn how you can break this link so that it doesn't actually progress to the next link. And that's how you can break the chain. The first step in the chain is the trigger. This then goes to interpretation. This then goes to a response. Now, the response could be either physical in nature or neurochemical in nature. We'll get more into that when we learn how to break each link. After the physical response, the next link is a behavioral response. And after the behavioral response, the last link is the reinforcement. So one by one, we'll go through all of these links and we will learn how to break each one of them. The first link in the chain of anxiety is trigger. This could be anything. Someone just looked at you the wrong way. Someone said something, you got an email you didn't like, you heard some news that you didn't like, someone bumped into you. Now, there is no way that you're going to be able to avoid problems in life. Problems are a part of life. So how I usually deal with this is, let's treat the trigger as something to be expected, not something that just happened to you. You can meet the trigger like an old friend, because this isn't the first time that you're triggered. This isn't the last time that you're going to be triggered. But just hoping that nothing in life would trigger you is the wrong way to go about it. So expect your triggers. When you get them, welcome them, meet them like an old friend, and hopefully they won't lead to the second link. Now let's get to the second link. The second link in the chain of anxiety is interpretation. Once you get the trigger, your brain actually decides what the trigger is. So your brain could actually decide if it's a negative thing or a positive thing. Same trigger can also be perceived differently by two different people. Let's take the example of feeling tightness in your chest. Person A would think that, oh my God, this tightness, this is going to kill me. I'm having a heart attack. While as person B will think, okay, maybe I'm having a panic attack. This is nothing to worry about. This will pass and I'm going to be okay. How I usually like to break the second link is basically working on a thing called problem orientation. Your problem orientation is your relationship to problems. One is negative problem orientation and second is positive problem orientation. Negative problem orientation is, oh my God, here's a problem. I'm going to fail at this. This is going to be the end of me. I can't deal with this right now. Whereas positive problem orientation is, okay, there's a problem. It's annoying, but this is something to be expected and I'm going to deal with this. The second thing about problem orientation is your belief in your ability to be able to solve problems. So there are numerous studies online that shows that people who believe that they can solve the problem are usually the ones that do. If you're going to face the problem anyways, if you're going to have to go through the trouble of solving it anyways, why not look it in the eye? Why not fight it head on? Why not go in with your chin raised and your shoulders back and meet it like a champ? So that is how you can break the second link. It is a long-term thing. We usually teach this with 6 to 12 sessions in therapy. Out of all the links, I think link 2 is the best link to break this chain at, because that is something that you have conscious power over. You can train your brain to see things in a certain way. Whether you see something as threatening or non-threatening, if you're able to develop a glass that can make the problems seem less threatening and make them more solvable, in your opinion, try to develop the glass. So let's say you are unable to break at link 2. the thing gets further down the anxiety chain and we come to link 3, which is a physical response. There are two physical responses, a neurochemical response and the real physical symptoms. Now, there are various theories on whether interpretation, neurochemical response and physical response occurs together. One happens first, one happens second. We are not going to get into these theories because none of them are important in order to break the anxiety chain. So what really happens is once your brain interprets this as a problem, it then goes on to release chemicals, that is cortisol and adrenaline. They create a number of physical symptoms like shallow breathing, increased heart rate, or the jittery feeling that you get when you get anxious. Now, to break the link of physical response, the best thing you can do is not give it the spotlight in your brain. If you concentrate on the physical response, if you give it the spotlight, if you keep thinking about it, if you feed it, it's going to increase. Let's take an example that there are two plants. These two plants are thoughts basically. Plant A is a weed and I don't want it to thrive. I don't want it to survive. Plant B is a very beautiful flower that I love having in my life, that makes my life much better, that adds something to my life. And I want plant B to really survive and thrive and maybe give me more flowers in my life. I don't want the weed to grow. I want the flower to grow. So what am I going to do? So take this as an analogy. So what you simply do is you stop watering the weed and you water the flower. And this is much easier said than done. But you can start doing it slowly, start practicing it, and as you do it more, you will get better. So for example, if there's a thought that says, oh my God, this is going to kill me, rather than giving the spotlight and the attention to that thought, give your attention and the spotlight to the thought, this is part of life. I'm adept at dealing with problems and I can deal with this. Feed the flower, don't feed the weed. And that's how you break link 3 and you get away from anxiety. The fourth link in our chain is behavioral response. So once we start having the chest tightness, the shallow breathing, we really try to do something to avoid it. And this is something that's called safety behavior. Maybe if it happens to me, I'll call for my wife to see if I'm gonna die, or I'll open the windows and get some fresh air to see if it settles. Maybe I'll go in the washroom and wash my face. And this safety behavior is going to make me feel safe in the short term, but in the long term, it's just going to tell my brain that because I had to use something to feel safe, because I had to seek the safety, something was actually wrong. To make this simple for you, safety behaviors give you safety in the short term, but in the long run, not. They are not actually helpful. You can't stop the safety behaviors at once, but you can try to find out which the lowest hanging fruit is and stop that one first. Now let's come to the last link of the chain, and the last link of the chain is reinforcement. So once you give a behavioral response, once you reach there, now you want to reinforce your brain. You want to do something to reinforce that you're safe, you're gonna be fine. So what you basically do is you repeat your safety behaviors. You think about the stuff that started the worry again, and you go down this chain again. So this is the point where the fifth link and the first link join, and it becomes a circle, and then your anxiety chain actually transform into something called a panic cycle. And then your anxiety increases. Don't give it food. Don't water the weed. Water the flower. Okay? So don't repeat your safety behaviors. Don't get into the entire chain again. So there it is, full 5 links of the anxiety chain and how to break each one of them independently. If you like this video, please subscribe, and also there's a link to my newsletter down below where I share more of these tips to help you live a happy, healthy life. Goodbye.